Yan! Kamusta kayo dyan? Good evening, everyone. Of course, I was hoping to join you guys earlier, but yun nga, may mga klase tayo. And then nag-drop by pa tayo doon sa ating isa sa mga paborito natin guests na na-upgrade to co-host natin, si Secretary Liamas. Nag-R&R reunion kami kanina. And pinost ko yung picture dyan sa your story. Pakicheck dyan kung mga fanboys kayo ni Secretary Liamas. So, wala, hindi ko na siya dinistorbo ngayon dahil gusto ko naman mag-enjoy siya ng kanyang post-birthday party. So, best wishes kay Secretary Ronald Llamas. Tuloy. Wala na, pagod na. Ito, mga kameta, habulin natin itong discussion na to kasi kanina, nag-trending na naman ito. This is something that we have been discussing for quite some time. No? Yung tinatawag ko na Grand Coalition. It's something that also came up in the discussion namin with Secretary Llamas earlier in the week. Doon sa amin analysis, no? Like as political strategists, ano yung mga suggestions namin, no? If Marcos Jr. wants to experience a rebound or at least to get some sort of a boost, after the 15-point plunge overall and 29% plunge, among the poorest of poor Filipinos class E. No? So that was significant. So the question was what he should do. Now, in the previous episode, pinag-usapan natin mga kameta, ano kailangan na gagawin ni Vice President Sara Duterte. And if you look at Vice President Sara Duterte, so far it looks like she's sticking to yung kanilang strategy of, if someone, criticizes or attacks you, bring the fight to them. So, more ganyan yung peg ni Sara Duterte. And that's very much a kind of a digong Duterte kind of style approach to things. So, pinag-usapan natin yan mga kameta ito kahapon. Now, if you look at the Vice President, well, her response to her critics was to question their intentions, to question their motivations. And in fact, more than that, she even questioned whether these are the kind of people who want the best for the country, whether these kind of people who are actually with the country. And words like kalaban ng bayan were tossed around. So of course, that got a lot of flack. There was a lot of negative reaction to that. But that's a Duterte way of doing things. They attack you, I'm gonna attack you back. And think twice before attacking. So that's the kind of aggressive strategy. Sa akin naman, I just felt na, well, first of all, problematic yung ganyan response because alam natin na maraming tao na nag-question dyan sa confidential fund ay hindi dahil gusto nila yung NPA, hindi dahil gusto nila yung gulo sa bansa, far from anything, and people are actually looking at more transparency. Paki-explain. Kasi alam naman lahat lang gawin natin confidential fund. Hindi ka naman Department of National Defense Secretary. Hindi mo naman ako yung position na yan, di ba? So people are wondering what's going on. And it's actually not just a confidential fund of the Vice President and the Secretary. It's also a confidential fund of a lot of people, even MMDA, but becoming a confidential fund, Polar Intelligence Fund. No, so it's more a concern about transparency. It's a concern about good governance. So yes, maybe there are people out there who are just mega and just want to criticize her for whatever reason, but I think the Vice President would have been much better for her if she explained it in her own words. Hindi yung USEC niya, hindi yung mga supporters niya online, hindi yung Davao or whatever. Like she herself, nicely, politely, relaxed, explain na ito yung kailangan natin. Alam ko, DepEd is not seen as a traditional national security position, but I think this is the right way to do it. Yes, tinatalo na natin. Salamat sa mga efforts ng mga nakaraan administration, of course, order niya at saka kasalitan ng administration, matatalo na yung mga insurgency, but nevertheless, we have to be on the lookout, we have to be vigilant. So yun lang, I think the instinct to automatically strike back at the critics, the instinct to automatically question the motivation of any kind of critics, the instinct to securitize the issue and immediately bring to the national security issue. I just feel na ito ay siguro mag-a-appeal dun sa kanyang base, especially the Mindanao base or the broader Vismin base. Pero your vice president, you are a heartbeat away from the highest office in the land, and you are considered as a front runner for the presidency down the road. So I just feel na this is the time where she could also show her presidential method, and explain to people in a calm, relaxed, self-confident way na relax lang kayo, na dapat pakita nito yung issue. I mean, like, si Digong, di ba? Whenever nag-criticize siya, he will attack back, but also he'll take his time. He'll sit down, he'll explain the issues, sabihin niya ganito, ganyan, magdrama siya, sabihin niya, hindi ko alam, ganito, ganyan, anong gagawin ko, tapos nagpapaawa pa siya. He would do all of that drama, you know? He would do all of the drama, and it worked. It really worked because he never experienced, in his second year in office, was 80%, plus yung kanya approval ratings. And then the only time that he got 11% downward pressure was because of the Kian de los Santos issue, but he recovered immediately because he was able to respond to it. So, flexibility, dexterity, communicative flexibility, very important yan. At gusto natin talaga makita ito dun sa ating leaders, whether president, vice president is number two, heartbeat away from the presidency, front runner for the next president, at least based on the numbers, then I think this is the time to show your presidential method. That would have been my advice. As a political strategy, I think that would be the best for the vice president. But so far, mukhang the strategy still take the fight back to your critics. But yun nga, that kind of a whiplash strategy, ano yan eh, that's not always optimal. Sometimes, pati tayo mga kameto, of course, may mga troll dyan, I will shut them down immediately. But there are times we also explain things properly. So there is a value to aggressive fight back right away, but you cannot do that all the time. And sa tingin ko, again, of course, maraming supporters si Vice President Sara Duterte, she's popular, alam natin yan. But, as the Vice President, perhaps, you owe it to the Philippine people to explain things away and just, para naman clear yung air, para wala nang problema. Now, if you look at President BBM, on the other hand, very different yung kanyang approach. Very, not only is he non-confrontational, he consistently tries to show or display a degree of statesmanship. So not only does he avoid cussing around, but also when he's faced with criticisms and all, look at how he responds. When he was asked about bakit bumaba ng ganun kalaki, double digit din yung kanyang approval rating, sabi niya, perfectly understandable. Expected yan, concerning. Kasi sinabi niya nga, people are hurting. Naiintindihan ko dahil people are hurting because mataas pa rin yung presyo ng bigas despite our best efforts. So here you can see, the president is really projecting leadership by humbly accepting, yung shortcomings niya or kakulangan niya or yung failures ng kanyang administration to deal with the issue despite his best efforts. Price cap, yung efforts to provide subsidized rice, efforts to negotiate better deals with Vietnam and other countries, despite all of those things. But I think sinabi ni President, it's not surprising. People are having a hard time. It's a different story when you talk about rice. It's different from anything else, any other agricultural product. So immediately, tinanggap niya na mukhang source of discontent talaga ay yung presyo ng mga basic na bilihin. So again, you don't have a president who lashes out, who questions Pulse Asia, who attacks the surveys, who makes fun of his opponents, calls them kalaban of this. No. He doesn't do that. It just says, naintindihan ko, I completely understand it, and that's why we're working very hard to make sure that this, kanya approval rating, ay mag-recover, comes up again, recover again. Not because of the survey. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that we make sure that people have enough to eat and that is affordable to them. So, sure, ang sinasabi niya dito is, we take the surveys as a kind of a barometer of public opinion and as a transmission belt for the sentiments of the Philippine people. So I cannot blame the people. They are really suffering. So my recognition, my acknowledgement of problem, of suffering. That's why we're doing all of the things to try and maintain the price at the level that is affordable for the Filipino people. So again, you can see immediately how different is the response of Marcos Jr. compared to the Duterte way of doing this. As I said, si Digong iba pa rin kay Digong. Kasi Digong, he'll fight back, but he'll also explain. So yun yung kanyang communication strategy. Now, speaking of PBM, ang pinag-usapan natin dito was, what can the president do moving forward? So, he did the first thing right, which is not be over-defensive, not be over-aggressive, acknowledge, project humility, project sincerity. Again, of course, sino ba ako to judge what's really in the heart of the man, right? But we're talking about communications, political communications, right? Yun ang pinag-usapan natin dito. Analysis po yung ginagawa natin, okay? So this is not a moral, ethical judgment, okay? I don't know what's happening in you guys' heart, okay? But I'm basing this dun sa nakikita natin. At alam natin, yung ganitong style has a huge potential of winning back the Filipino people. Because the Filipino people, ang pinakayaw nila, yung mali ka nga, tapos pipilitin mo pa, tapos defensive ka pa. Right? Unless, may digong style ka na may palusot ka na gano'n, pero you do it in a very compassionate or a very relatable, even entertaining way for that matter, no? Or colorful sometimes, a bit too colorful. So, clearly you see that President BBM understands the psyche of voters. Clearly you see the President realizes, the necessity to acknowledge yung mga shortcomings. Clearly nakikita natin President BBM understands that something has to be done more than what he's already doing, right? And this is where, kung tinignan mo yung discussion natin with Secretary Ronald the other day, ang pinag-usapan namin dito is, I think this is the perfect time. You can check the episode yourself, it's there. Sabi namin, this is the perfect time to discuss another cabinet reshuffle. Because I agree with Mick Zubiri na dapat pag-aralan ng mabuti kung itong best cabinet na pwede ma-deploy ni President to deal with all sorts of problems we're facing. Pabaksak yung investments, hindi na pabaksak yung approval ratings, yung presyo ay mataas, growth rate is going down. So marami tayong pagkakulang sa kasalukuyan ng kabinete. So something has to be done about it. Something more drastic, something more assertive. And he's surely not there yet in terms of having the A-list cabinet that he could have. But having an A-list cabinet is not only about CVs. It's not only about being an Oxbridge graduate or Ivy League graduate or UPA Ateneo graduate. No, it's more than that. It's also about whether it's a reflection of the best, but also whether it could strengthen yung political capital and popularity of the president. And this is where things are quite interesting. Because just as we were discussing, itong pangangailangan ni Pangulong Marcos to reshuffle siguro his cabinet, and more importantly, to change yung narrative. Para hindi lang pag-usapan ng tao yung kakulangan ng administrasyon pagdating sa problema sa presyo ng mga pangunahin na bilihin or yung mga kakulangan ng administration. I mean, one of the best ways to also change the conversation and one of the best ways to seize control of the communication landscape is to do something different, something kind of bought from the blue. And speaking of bought from the blue, boom! Eto, lumabas itong mga pictures, kanina, nag-trending ngayon, ng meeting ni BBM and Marcos-Roxas. And super chummy-chum silang dalawa. Of course, you see, very interesting ito. Multiple things are happening at the same time in that single picture. Alright? Let's break it down. Okay, very interesting ito. So, mukhang pinag-isipan ito eh. The timing obviously is very interesting. The context is very interesting. But what it could also signal is interesting. No? So obviously, unang-una, ang konteksto nito is rice distribution. Okay? Usapan rice. So A, the president is signaling that he's doing something with the situation, that he's hands-on, that he personally himself will be involved in the remediation. So you're trying to project direct, proactive leadership. That's a very important one. The president himself being present dyan sa distribution ng bigas. Just as his approval ratings are down and there are concerns about inflation. Pangalawa, this is not happening in Metro Manila. This is not happening in Lawag, right? This is not happening dun sa kanyang bailiwick or dun sa kanyang, where he is geographically concentrated most of the time. No, this is way outside his geographic comfort zone. So it also shows that not only the president is hands-on, the president is traveling around to make sure na talagang, he will deal dun sa mga pangailangan ng mga taong bayan. No? So that's the second thing we see here. But third, and this is where things get even more interesting, he's with Marcos-Roxas, right? Who is the former leader of the opposition. He was the standard bearer of the Liberal Party in 2016, who ran again as opposition in 2019, and someone who was with President Aquino of 22 and he's the successor in many ways. But Level 4, and this is where things are important. First, it's in Cabis. Of course, it's rice distribution. Of course, the timing is perfect. But then again, let's not forget, alam ko, maraming mga haters si Marroas, maraming mga bashers si Marroas. President Duterte did pretty good job of, demonizing the Liberal Party and also ridiculing and mocking Marroas and taunting him during this election. I remember that very well. Di ba? May time na, kung ano pa sinasabi ni Digong, di ba? Medyo nagtutrump yan, medyo nag-Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, ano pa siya, di ba? Well, let's not forget, once upon a time, Marcos was the star technocrat in the Philippines. And actually, shortly after, he became a star politician. I mean, this is Mr. Palengke. In fact, the very, very first na political commercial na naalala ko is yung Mr. Palengke ni Marcos. I mean, until now, I still remember it. Fresh, aggressive, suave. And then before that, of course, yung background niya, he was DTI secretary, he worked with our administration, he was very proactive, malaking role niya together with President Arroyo, so dalawa silang ekonomista, who played a very important role in bringing the business process outsourcing industry here, making sure the basic infrastructure, fiber optic, all of those things are there. So mahusay, magaling, di ba? And he leveraged that to run for highest office. Of course, he had also the right name, may Rojas na, may Araneta pa, di ba? It's like Kennedy and Rockefeller put together. And he topped the Senate race. And for quite a long time, he had the record for most number of votes for an elected official. Super daming votes, number one siya. And that essentially gave him the confidence to be a kind of a leading senator. He played a very important role dun sa malalaking mga bagay, katulad ng JPEPA, Japan-Philippine bilateral free trade agreement. Of course, we can debate about whether that free trade agreement was really best for the country, but that was one of the signature policies that came out of the Philippine Senate back in the day. At dito kita natin na, Marcos was the man in control of the moment. And until the last 2 months of elections in 2010, Marcos actually was easily the leading candidate for the vice president. In fact, early on, he opened up as the prohibitive favorite, or seemingly rather, prohibitive favorite, at more than 40% of the share of the votes, way ahead, almost twice, si Lola Legarda pa ito kalaban na first. And then later on, Binay came out of nowhere, and yung pala, there's a whole, this Noibi kind of semi-conspiracy pala going on, pero alam natin man, bahala na kayo magmarites dyan what happened there, di ba? May mga just din ako what happened there. But anyway, nevertheless, he was kept within the inner circle of the president. He became the Department of Transportation Secretary, DLG Secretary. But yun nga I think the biggest mistake of Marcos in 2016 was that yun nga he stood by the former president during the Mama Sapano tragedy. He could have resigned and he could have struck an independent course. Hindi niya ginawa yun. He was loyal. Now in 2016, I'm not sure if loyalty was 100% reciprocated, but whatever. I don't want to talk about the graceful situation also, but Philippine politics being Philippine politics. But the thing is, I think the biggest mistake in 2016 for Marcos was that, first, I think his team was not paying enough attention to Digong, was coming from behind. If you look at my interviews, August pa lang yata, or September, something like that, hindi sila Tito Boy Abunda, hindi Tito Boy Soto, Tito Boy Abunda. Noon pa lang sabi ko, dark horse tong si Digong, and he can become very competitive down the road. And the signs were there, and yet mukhang the focus was still on Graceful, the focus was still on Binay, way into the election campaign. But the even bigger mistake was he just became the continuity candidate rather than the upgrade candidate. As July Tihanki, Din Tihanki, one of the greatest Filipino political scientists, put it something like, you cannot be like, kung etong year ay iPhone 14, hindi pwede iPhone 14 pa rin offer mo for the next year or 6 years from now. You have to offer an upgrade. Because during elections, usually Filipinos are anti-incumbency, right? So not only was he seen as the anointed successor, which I don't think he 100% was, but the thing is, he also didn't offer a significant upgrade from what the people were already getting, especially towards the end of the Aquino administration, where we are having all of these problems with traffic, Bala, Mama Sapana tragedy. Things were not ending on the best note. I mean, we can say, of course, things started pretty well. Many good things happened in the Aquino administration, but it didn't end on a very good note. No? So and if infrastructure projects were not done on time or late, and I mean, again, I understand the whole context. I've written extensively on that, but my point is, this is about politics. This is about communications. So yun, I think, naging mistake niya. And then after 2016, he essentially just disappeared from the landscape, right? I mean, like yoga or whatever. Great, careful. And then when he came back, I just don't think when he ran for 2019, again, the prequel, the build up, I don't think the strategy was really, really good, to be honest. So I think Moros always had the basic ingredients of a potentially formidable presidential role. But I just don't think he had a good communication strategy once he started to run for the highest offices. And I just felt with a better team, with a better communication strategy, and better timing perhaps, and some decisive moments where he should have really, made a call, and be his own man 100%. It just didn't happen. Nevertheless, Maros is still part of the Philippine political elite, and he is a distant cousin of the First Lady. And for that reason, many people have been mentioning the possibility of him joining this cabinet. Because after all, this is someone who was very successful as a DTI secretary. I'm not sure how successful we are right now in terms of trade promotion, investment, babaksak na. But at the same time, Maros is an economist, who's someone who worked at the highest levels of the government, the ALG, DTI, Senate, etc. So, compared naman dun sa mga ibang meron dun sa cabinet and all, na I'm not sure how well they're doing, or someone who's temporarily there in some position that perhaps he shouldn't be there, maybe Maros actually represents an upgrade, merit-wise. I know maraming ko bashing na, kamusta siya bilang DLG secretary? Well, I don't know. I mean, I've talked to people on the ground who know about what Maros did during the time of Yolanda and the personal risk that he took. He risked his life. Right? Hindi na-appreciate na kasi nga mahina yung communication strategy niya. And there was so much anger, etc. na I understand it. Pero I just feel na he didn't have the best communication strategy. So regardless of his merit and the merit of his actions, regardless of his potentials, regardless of his CV, regardless of his connections all around the world, as a former top technocrat, as a former top venture capitalist, sayang wala, hindi na-maximize mga yan. But nevertheless, the thing with Maros is that his potential inclusion may not only bring technocratic expertise and some sort of gravitas, but it could also signal some sort of grand coalition situation, whereby, wow, I mean, kay BBM, he's willing to even bring opposition in here. Again, I know a lot of people are going to bring the Araneta connection, but I think that's overrated. Now, is Maros being seriously considered for a cabinet position? I don't know. But do they want it to come off that way? Or are there people there who think this will change the conversation and narrative, and this will project a Marcos that has a kind of inclusive, quote-unquote, unity leadership? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the timing, I think the whole optics, clearly, pinag-isipan yan. But this was not spontaneous. And here you can also see the president also projecting his ability to work across the aisle, to work with people from different sides. You can see the president also projecting, nonchalant, na parang relax lang siya, na I know there are challenges, etc., but we can work together. Nagawa pa niya magbiro, di ba? Ito pa, may sinabi pa siya na, pare, walang taglaga na. Diba? So just as he talked about yung mga good days sila together, pero sabi niya, ay sinabi niya, basahin natin. Ito talaga. Dito ba yan? Dito. Ito. Sige, okay. Sabi niya, doon sa crowd, no? Well, he called Maros his longtime friend. Sabi niya, maybe you're not aware, Mar and I have been friends for a long time, even though we sometimes disagree on politics, of course. Sabi niya, we spend a long time together in New York, and how that while he's here, he doesn't talk about what happened anymore to us when we were in New York, because we were still bachelors and we had many adventures together, quote-unquote adventures. That's why I'm happy I haven't talked to you in a long time, and it's good we have a chance to talk here in Cabez. All right. So Ross is of course second cousin of First Lady Lisa Araneta. Marcos not it's his second cousin. Now, of course, in the event, you saw the 25 kilogram bags of rice distributed by the President to the beneficiaries of Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino Program for Peace, which, by the way, comes from the Aquino administration. And by the way, its roots goes back all the way to the Dario administration. So here, a lot of things are happening. A lot of things are happening. Very interesting. Now, ano na, advice ko kay President BBM, ha? Ay nako, marami pa nakausap ng mga diplomats. Sabi nila, ganito ka daw, parating, you talk about your younger days and, fill in the gaps. So, relax ka lang, sir, ha? Baka may nag-overshare ka. Kasi mamamarita sa akin ng mga ibang top diplomats. Na kung si BBM kausap niya, oh yeah, well, that was in this country, I was in your country. Ay nako. Ingat lang, boss. Alright, sir. No. So, again, suave, relax, diba? Suave, relax. Okay, bumaba yung ratings ko, pero hindi ko kaya atakin, hindi ako defensive, hindi ako relax lang, chill lang. Kausapin natin, opposition, what we can get out of this. So, we don't know for sure if Maras, kasi the problem naman is, mukhang si Maras is still considering. Hindi, if he really wanted political retirement, he would have been out of corner or whatever. Or again, make his own angat buhay version. Like Lenny. Kasi kay Lenny, parang kita ko talaga na gusto niya talaga mag-step back and go back to civil society and all of that. And, in retrospect, I think, that was great because it gave way for Rizal, Tiveras, and others to assume the mantle of leadership as they should have. With Bon, I'm not sure he really wants to retire, right? Akala natin, retire sa biglang tumakbo ng 2018. Hindi kumana masyado. Pero ngayon, nagpaparinig yung iba na baka pwede siya tumakbo sa 2025 and he's kind of within the range if ever he runs. So, yun din yung concern natin, di ba, kay Pico Pangilinan. I mean, imagine how interesting situation would have been. Again, we can debate about whether this would be effective in terms of dealing with sa mga problema natin because in fairness naman, there are some external factors that explain bakit ganito yung situation natin when it comes to rise, sa inflation, sa economy. So I'm not sure if you change the cabinet secretaries immediately, that's going to be better. It might take 6 months, it might take 6 years, it might take forever. But I think it would have been very interesting. Kiko Pangilinan, Maras, they're part of the cabinet. That would have been something really outside the box, really crazy. And this brings me to the last part of our discussion because my point naman is if you keep on doing this teaser trailer thing and then nothing happens, then actually it could leave a bad taste. Because on one hand, it looks like parang ginagamit ng si Marcos pang ano lang. Diba? And if you're Marcos, you're gonna feel bad. I mean, I don't know, or maybe politicians just want to be in the news, whatever. I don't know. Pero yung parang gamitan ka lang para lang just to get the rumor mill going and then di ka naman i-offer talaga. I'm not sure that's good. And the other thing is that you cannot keep on doing the same thing. You get what I'm saying. I once said something on PC, but you guess what I was say. Yeah, you cannot do that. And then the way to do it, wala na, huwag ganon, magiging cheap na yan, masyado ng cheap na yan. So, my nice advice would be, if you're really seriously considering a grand coalition or something outside the box, then, go for it. Now, it's very possible that this is, as Kitat at Bayan nagsabi, this may be also a trial balloon. Now, just to gauge the reaction, siguro may mga analytics sila na would Moro has inclusion, help in terms of communications, would help in terms of approval ratings, or, well, perhaps from President Marcos would really help in terms of dealing with the problems we're facing in inflation, agriculture, etc. For me, both DA and DTI, I'll be fine if Maras takes over everything, right? I think swak sa kanya expertise, and I think it's also good for BBM because he has one degree of separation from any kind of direct criticism. Pagdating sa food security, pagdating sa bigas, pagdating sa mga ganitong problema. So, interesting. But, again, my advice is don't overdo it. And as we get closer and closer to the 2025 elections, ito yung mga papitik-pitik na yan, mawawala ng credibility na yan. Because, although as I said, unless there's the angle of someone also not bothering, being used this way because that at least puts him in the conversation and if everyone's run for the Senate, that might be a good thing, right? That's possible. That angle is possible. I'm just saying, huwag nyo na overdo yan. Diba? Huwag nyo na overdo yan. And, ay nako, naging masyadong mamaritas tong natin, politika natin. Ayoko nang gano'n. Masyado na siyang maritas. Kasi I feel bad because O sorry na lang dun sa DFA, sorry sa DFA secretary. Because honestly, I had multiple people, including an ambassador, who was telling me na paalis na yung foreign secretary natin, etc. And even the name of Maras came up. So I even connected him with potential DFA, no? And yet, nothing has changed. So, hindi ko alam, is this a communication style, strategy? Is this a trial balloon thing? Kasi hindi na nakuha yung reaction sa moment na lang. But you cannot keep on doing that. At some point, President Marcos Jr. has to make the big decision. Am I going to go for a grand coalition, potentially boxing out the Dutertes as we move towards 2025, as we move towards 2028? Is he going to really go for people with gravitas, who have their own personality, or not just yes men, or not just some technocrat, nameless people, whatever, or you know what I'm saying? Is he willing to bring someone from the opposition? Is he really looking at the merit of these people, the expertise they could bring, and whether bringing someone like Maros, etc., could help with investors, because Maros had a decent relationship with the investment communities, and he was quite highly rated by the investment community back in the day. So, I don't know, I'm just saying, interesting but don't overdo it, mag-chipang na yan. Yun lang. Huwag natin i-chipang yan. Alright! Okay, now, don't worry, later on, balikan natin itong mga conversations natin because kahapon medyo na-drain ako. I hope people understand. Like going on vlogs and going ganyan, drama, it's energy consuming. And usually anong oras yung mga ginagawa, 10, 11 p.m. So kagabi, I was just so tired. I was exhausted. I just hope people appreciate what we're doing here. Okay, we're not just having fun here and clowning around, but sometimes of course But this is serious. All right, this is serious. Mga kameta, mga kays, no? This is serious. Ang pinag-usapan po natin yung politika natin sa Pilipinas. And what, ganito na lang. Hindi ito drama, no? But ganito na lang. Some people don't seem to appreciate how difficult it is to engage in in-depth, objective, as humanly possible discussion about Philippine politics, and at the same time keeping it interesting. And at the same time doing it every day, right? Almost. Minus Sabateno. It's not easy. Alright? It's not easy. So yung may mga tao dyan na, feeling nila, alam nila how to do this better, well, please do what we make 1,000-2,000 blogs, right? While writing 1,000-2,000 articles for serious global publications and all, then come back to me. Because it's not easy. Mahirap talaga siya. Because 80% of our politics is not happy, right? A lot of it is actually even scary. Alright? Medyo nakakatakot minsan yung topic. I mean, hindi naman tayo, I mean natin, minsan nakakatakot pa yung topics. So, if you don't have some sense of humor, some sense of flexibility, etc., how are you going to sustain it? How are you going to sustain people's attention? In an era where everyone just wants to watch just some stupid TikTok, whatever, 20 seconds, no offense. I mean, TikTok is great, I use it too, but you know what I mean, right? In an era of super short attention span, in an era that people don't want bad news anymore, they're sick and tired, they're switching out of politics, etc. I hope na-appreciate ng mga ibang tao dyan na mahirap gawin ito. Yung serious, multi-dimensional, multi-angle, not to mention the research that goes into it, the preparation that goes into it, the bashing that comes in. Pero thank God, napansin ko kung palaban ka, people will fight for you because people believe in what you do and people know that you also believe in what you're doing, right? Na hindi ka lang magpapakil. So, I feel super, super grateful. Now, we have a lot of people supporting us went through. Kaya medyo kawawa yung mga trolls dito. Even sa YouTube, kawawa rin sila sa atin. And Twitter, I'm sorry, don't even try. Demolish kita if you say something, really worth demolishing, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, my point is, hindi ito madali. Alright? So it looks like I'm just relaxing. Well, long day, a lot of thoughts and lectures and all, right? But it's not easy. Okay? It's not easy, mga kameta. And sometimes, we talk about something serious, like industrial policy, which, by the way, did the best in sa Spotify natin over the past month. I'm super happy about that. It was a serious discussion, history of industrial policy in the Philippines. And good news, mamaya ulit, with Dr. Lisandro Claudio, ituloy namin yung discussion na yan based on the latest things happening abroad and here. Because the other week, interesting, both Biden and Trump were involved in one way or another, or openly supportive of the auto workers strike dyan sa United States. So that's unprecedented. You never had an American president joining yung mga protesta or mga strike, worker strike, no? Especially for auto workers industry. And Trump was also there in town, or at least more or less in town, talking about their rights. So industrial policy, mga kameta, is back. Our neighbors are building their manufacturing capacity. Heck, even Putin is rebuilding his country's manufacturing capacity because of all sanctions and all of that. Malaysia is coming back and building its semiconductor industry. Vietnam is building its semiconductor industry. Taiwan is doubling down on that. Thailand is now getting to EV industry. Indonesia is getting to that. So this is quite a technical issue. It's difficult, especially if you're Pinoy, because you're excited when you talk about other countries and when you talk about Filipinas, you're not sure what's going on. So, pag-usapan namin ulit yan later on. We'll go back to this. We'll put in the context. We'll look at what else, what are the other angles we can talk about. I just had another articles at the National in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates naman, about economy. What are the challenges that Marcos Jr. is facing? Artificial intelligence, semiconductor industry, whatever we want to get on that, slow economy, so on and so forth, right? And I just feel this is a topic we have to go back and over again. So, yun nga yung problema eh. On one hand, sometimes, nakakadismaya yung politika natin or purong mga kalokohan lang. So I hope you guys understand that it's really challenging for us to discuss them, but it's not get you guys even interested to listen to what we have to say after all the research and effort and time and energy. At the same time, there are topics that are inherently quite technical and difficult, so you have to go the extra mile, simplify them, water down them, make it easier and understandable for the people, and that's not easy. And sometimes walang nakikinig, like 200 lang makinig sa Spotify, right? Masakit yan, but no choice. We have to do what we have to do, right? So I just hope people appreciate what we're doing here, because hindi ito madali. Now, I teach at the university. I teach grad school. I'm super happy. I'm so grateful for all the experiences I've had, the chances to teach, in the country's best universities, grad school, undergrad, etc. At the same time, I'm also very grateful for this kind of vlogs because it allows us to do public education, to reach out to hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people even in some of our vlogs. I really appreciate that, and I take this seriously. I take this very seriously, okay? So, but you have to make sure that you cater the message rightly, you look at the right angle, you explain it properly, and at the same time, you're competing against all this nonsense and garbage out there. It's not easy. Alright, so yun lang. Yung mga nagmamagaling, yung mga feeling magaling, go ahead. Do 2,000 articles, 2,000 vlogs, come back to me and tell me how easy and fascinating and interesting it is to have a 1-hour conversation on industrial policy, or 2 hours for that matter, or to consistently every day talk about Philippine politics, even though 99% of the time it's not the happiest topic to talk about, right? But it's something that we have to do, because otherwise kawawa tayo. If hanggang ano na lang tayo, it's all disinformation, hanggang it's all vote buying, it's all dagdag bawas, it's all, I don't know, smartmatic. Wala na, walang mangyayari sa atin yan. Walang mangyayari sa atin yung hanggang yan lang tayo. We really have to impart critical thinking. We really have to show sincerity. We have to educate ourselves. Mga kamets, before making these discussions, I have to research myself. Wala lang, dami natin mga haters na nakapantay lang, di ba? For us to make error of 0.00001%. Still, they're gonna. So we have to research. We have to watch what we're saying. I don't watch. I say what I believe is there. But hindi siya madali. Ang daming, back office work that goes into what you guys see. So I hope you guys appreciate what we're doing here, because it's easy to do one nice vlog and all. Like, I enjoyed yung gilas natin kahapon, gold medal. Na-sense ko talaga na parating na tayo dyan, mag-gold medal na tayo. Like, I enjoyed that. Sobrang pagod ako gabi. Pero go pa rin. But like, there are many times you have to talk about politics and there's really nothing fun to talk about. So how do you make it instructive? How do you make it contemplative? How do you make it self-reflective? How do you make it useful? How do you make it something good for the public education? Etc. So yun. Sobrang natin. Kape natin. So yun. I hope folks appreciate it. And again, I would say for the 100th time, If you're looking for a show where there's a guy who interviews some other guy, and then no, this is not the show. This is a show about me as an analyst and thinker talking to other analysts and thinker. Sometimes I'm more like a host, like I do with my own TV program, etc. But most of the time, I want it to be as conversational as possible, right? And we're not also here to just make fun of the administration or make fun of the opposition. No, no, we're not. We're not for that. We're here to look at political strategy. We're here to look at what can be done, what should be done from an ethical, moral standpoint, but also from a political, pragmatic standpoint. So lahat yan, tingnan natin yan. In short, what we hope will happen or has been happening, kasi magto 2 years na tayo, di ba? I think this is it, no? Magto 2 years na tayo. Now as Socrates put it, you seduce people with the truth, but more than that for me, you also get people to appreciate critical thinking. Because it's the most important thing in life. We're just human beings, we're never going to be perfect, there are going to be so many unanswered questions in life, if not all the basic questions of life will perhaps remain unanswered. We have those limitations. No matter what happens with artificial intelligence, we're gonna have limitations, even then. But if you have critical thinking, you can better cope in a mature, in a sensible, in a conscientious way with the tough decisions that face us as citizens, as human beings, no? As people who want to better appreciate and understand the world we live in. Yun lang. Alright? Thank you so much again. So, eto na. I think years na tayo dito sa Meta, mga ka-Meta. This started very informally. So, almost exactly 2 years. Iyak na tayo na. October 7th. Almost, ang galing mo yung mga picture nila, na-distract yata. Ang ganda ng conversation natin. Tagay na yung mga politiko yan. Alright, okay. Ito. So 2 years ago, I think this was the time when Lenny had just, I don't know, had just out of nowhere began, siya. She went for it, right? She went for the presidency, and that was that whole pink day and all that. Like, I think more or less that was the first day. I mean, legit way. We did a vlog, like holding it here, looking like ridiculous, pangit ng mukha, pangit ng skin, pangit lahat. And then, walang preparation, but just go for it. Go it for the moment. Go. Spontaneous, from the heart, boom. And wow, I mean, one of the most amazing things in my life happened. There was just an explosion of responses from people. Hindi lang yung mga heart emoji, which I love, of course. I appreciate it. Like, human being lang tayo. It's good. But no, it's the engagement. But I felt vindicated because I always believed na people deserve high quality public discourse, policy discourse. You just have to make it interesting enough. And if you make it interesting enough, people will respond. So don't dumb it down, don't water it down, just explain it properly, nicely, and people will appreciate it. And I think the first vlog proper natin, 300,000 views or something like that. Crazy. I didn't expect that. I mean, like, wow, that was insane, right? And like thousands of comments, etc. 90% positive, and then like may mga weird dyan, but good vibes, super good vibes. So like that for me is one of the happiest moments, no? Considering the past 6, 7, 8 years political has not been the most encouraging, right? So I'm very grateful for the level of response, but the level of response came because I had the audacity to put the camera in front of me, live, no, whatever. I'm sure people could make fun of, I mean, not every, you don't have a perfect, whatever. I was ready for that. Go ahead, make fun of whatever. Sige, tsakaan niyo ako, sige, ano niyo ako. But alam niyo naman, diba? Go ahead and try, okay? I'll take care of that. Yan na naman tayo, nilaglag na naman sa sarili ko. Diba, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? Tapos, nakahawak pa, wala pa akong ano dyan eh. Wala pa akong ano nun. Wala pa tayong ano eh. Tawag doon? Holder. Wala pa tayong holder. Wala pa tayong holder nun. Hindi ko alam yung OBS. Wala talagang bare bones talaga. Talagang walang talaga, nakahawak. Tapos yung kamay ko masakit after 30-35 minutes, pero the adrenaline rush, the responses of people is fascinating. It's a kind of feeling that I think everyone deserves, right? If you take your chances and by some reason you do even better than you expected, and you're doing it for the right cause, you're doing it for the right reason, you're doing it from the heart, it's a great feeling. Great feeling to see that reciprocated. Because, mga kamet, I'll be absolutely honest about this. Diyan pa ba kayo? Baka kausap ko lang sa inyo. Check ko lang, baka naman ano na, alam mo yung mga matatanda na talking on their own na. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it gets thankless sometimes, you know? You do your best, you research, and then some people there, like, obviously, they didn't even read what you said, read what you wrote, you don't even buy it, and they'll say something stupid, mayabang, whatever. Yung mga ganyan. But, wala eh, talagang, dapat decidido ka talaga eh. Go and go and go. And then, for me, mistakes have been done, we're always gonna make mistakes, but the important thing is, we set the right example. And hopefully one day there'll be a next generation of people learning from experience that do it even better than us. But someone had to pioneer this, do this differently. So I'm not here as a journalist doing, I don't know, interview with other people. No, you're not. That's not what I do here. Okay, I do journalism, but I don't identify as a journalist first. I identify myself as something else: political thinker, academic, or whatever, writer. This is also not a show of, just the latest marites and yung magmamaharlika talking about si ganitong senador pumunta sa Paris, sa ganitong senador may kabit. It's not that kind of nonsense. More importantly, it's not the nonsense of kulto-kulto, fanaticism, and todo defense sa isang politiko. Alright? I got so much bashing over the past 6 months or so, not from DDS people, not even from you, but I got so much bashing from people in the opposition who were not happy with the things I said. I said, I was right. I was absolutely right about those things. Everything I was saying last year, ngayon, nagiging biglang realization ng iba dyan, di ba? I'm sorry, I've been saying these things. I said, we have to go beyond voter blaming. We have to be constructive. We have to understand the root of the problem. I even wrote a journal article about it. Everything explained. Research namin yan. Sa daming bashing, etc., tuloy-tuloy pa rin tayo. And then I got to know that some people that I thought are good people, ano pa tayo. They were like mocking us or whatever, like, get out of here, man. I mean, seriously. Once once people grow the cojones, and at the same time have the lucidity of thought, the analytic acumen, and get it out and publish it in the best political journals, in the best publications, then you come to me. All right? Let me be very clear about that. Kasi, ayoko eh. If you don't have the courage, moral, intellectual courage, don't take it against other people. Now, yes, sometimes I'm a bit harsh, sometimes I do that, but yun lang. Keep things, yun lang. Okay? So yun, this is me. This is the real me. Okay? I mean, like, we can have fun, we can have conversations, we can have Ilas Filipinas, we can have that. But this is really the Richard, right? Who's behind, this is the energy behind everything we're doing here. Not just vlogging, writing, guys, you have any idea how difficult writing books is? It's super difficult. It takes you years to write it. You have to keep on going back. You have to do revisions. Imagine writing 200,000 words. And sometimes it's brought down to 100,000 words. Imagine having references 50 pages, 40 pages. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy, mga kamera. While doing blogging, while doing journalism, while doing punditry and all of that. So, yun lang. I'm just explaining how I see things. And I'm also explaining how much I appreciate what everyone has been doing for us over the past 2 years. I never imagined that vlogging, political vlogging, it's challenging, sure. Sometimes, but it has been super great in many ways. I'm super grateful to God. In fact, sometimes I wonder, sana ginawa ko yan mas earlier. But hindi rin eh, kasi I got to do many other things back in the day when I was not vlogging. I got to do a lot of writings, very difficult writings. It's not easy to get published in the New York Times of this world or in Foreign Affairs of this world. I'll just be honest with you guys. And at the intensity, volume, and all of that, with everything going on during the time, it's not easy to write books, etc. So I don't think I would have been able to do all of those things if I was vlogging also at the same time. So I still had to build my foundations, no? And read the books, the 1,000 page, 2,000 page books that I read back in the day, and I continue to try to read that. No? I mean, this 1,000 page book. O, sorry, dalawa. Yung isa ata yung, yeah, The Dawn of Everything, at saka yung Silk Roads is almost like 700 words, 700 pages or something. 1,000 pages, sorry, 700 pages. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I cannot believe naka 1,000 vlogs na tayo or something like that. It's insane. It's insane. And sometimes I wonder where we got all that energy to do 3 lives in a day. Then again, it comes from you guys. So super thank you. Maraming salamat. Don't worry, as soon as as I told you, I'm also trying to set up another studio of our own, whereby we can bring guests over and discuss with them, not in like in real talk studio, but just my own our own apartment studio, something like that. We're trying to set that up also there in Makati. So we're working on a number of things while doing everything else they have. So we're doing our part, okay? And that's my way of saying thank you to you guys. And that's my way of saying salamat sa inyong support. And whatever support you have given me, I always make sure it doesn't go to waste, right? As God said in the Holy Book, we have not created you in vain, right? We were not created in vain by the Lord, right? So we're here to fulfill a certain mission, right? And when we know what's the mission or we have an inkling of that mission, we go for it 100%. But as you know, mga kabeta, of course, I try also to balance things out, diba? Speaking of which, I have to go to gym soon. We have to balance things out. We have to keep fuego. Bakit tagal ko hindi ginamit yung fuego na yan? Yeah, we have to do those things and we have to take a break because in an hour or so, si parang Leloy Claudio naman ang kasama natin, God willing, hopefully, to be awake earlier than not. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Um, yeah, ano pa? No, 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 I mean, sanay ka sa kaya na dire-diretso lang ako magsalita, di ba? No, but something that is, it's nice to just pause and think and let in the moment. And para na makita ng tao na hindi lang ako nagsasalita, just to block out, push away possible second thoughts and self-doubt. No, no. Yeah, yeah. And I'm hoping to also launch a separate style of kind of vlogging, kind of more lecture-ish, like sit down, like kind of a professorial style, sit down and kind of a mini lecture, mini masterclass style, just straight 45 minutes, boom, 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 boom. And hopefully, medyo, I'm working on, kailangan ng videographer no, para ma-edit talaga ng mabuti yan. So that's something separate, something different. So initial life is, I'm just sitting down, issue, explanation, it could be stoicism, it could be Taoism, it could be artificial intelligence and impact on public policy, it could be any of those topics. So, and then explore it 30, 40 minutes, mini lecture, masterclass style, something different. Maybe subscription based, maybe, I don't know, something different, right? So yun, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, I hope that you folks, especially yung mga returnees, mga recurring supporters natin, I hope na appreciate yung nangyari din dito. And I hope you feel the energy. Because I think at the end of the day, it's all about energy, right? Hindi lang good vibes, but this passionate vibe. This feeling that you're part of something bigger than yourself. Something bigger than that just these elections or this personality or this issue, right? And I'm very happy that we did the live right after Philippines won gold medal for the first time in 61 years. I mean, that moment is not gonna come back. Yeah, you're not gonna have those kinds of moments every day, right? So I'm also happy for having the audacity, for having the you know, kapal moks, diba? To like, naka ano pa tayo, naka muscle shirt pa tayo, no? Like, oh my goodness, right? Yeah, you don't do that every day. Pero, I mean, I'm a football guy, so I do wear mga football shirt and all. But, once in a while, basketball. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. Sobrang pagod talaga ako because right after, nag-usap pa kami ni Mark Gambo, doon naman sa Project Pilipinas namin just to make sure it's still there. And we had a fantastic discussion about PBA, etc. Nandun sa baba. Please watch it. magaling talaga yan si Mark pagdating sa mga issue ng mga basketball, especially. So I learned a lot from that. So kahit 1 a.m. na, pagod na ako, go pa rin. So, I really appreciate this. Thank you very much. Let me just say thank you sa lahat ng mga sumusupport sa atin. Sorry medyo napadrama tayo. Mabuti nga, hindi niyo ako tinulugan. Okay. Yan, sabi ni Critical Thinker. The Awakening of Asia's Real Giant. Sino? India. Sabi. Ay, hindi. Si Noemi pala. Ay, hindi. Sino yan? Wow. Ano ba talaga? Ba't nawala yun? Hindi sa taas. Yung comment pala. Sorry, nag-ahamba yan. Ayun na, sa kakadaldal natin, nag-off na yung laptop ko. Si Noemi Tabla, I think I've been talking like, what, 4 hours na today? 3 hours lecture. Ayan. Ito. Uy, Manya, isog mo na naman lagay yung dilawan dyan. Baka maano ka. Baka ma-auto, ka na. Thank you. Salamat kay Alan Paggamora, salamat kay Manny, salamat kay Mendy. Uy, na-touch talaga ako dun sa Team Manila shirt First official semi-sponsored. They just asked to send me a copy. They were super kind. They didn't ask anything in exchange, but I was more than happy to say na ang ganda ng shirt. Maraming salamat sa super salamat sa Team Manila. Alam niyo, may soft spot talaga ako kay Rizal. Soft spot talaga ako sa West Philippines Sea. Ito yung mga close to heart talaga natin. Super proud ako whenever I feel when I see us Filipino people rallying around someone like Rizal as greater as Rizal, or rallying around a national territory, West Philippine Sea. Alright? Salamat kay Noemi Tablare, kay Meggy Foster Loza, huwag nga kayo mag-call dyan. Shirley Ann Lansang, salamat. Salamat kay Critical Thinker, of course. Grace Kitayama, Mira Minalo, thank you very much. Salamat kay Salvacion Singhit, JC Casneros. Ayan, thank you very much. Nag-away na yung batyan. Elmo, Fremont, Isabelita, Talatad. Yan. Thank you so much kay Ma'am Jocelyn. Of course, as always, thank you kay Cram Niche. Yan, dami kong natutunan sa'yo at nakakatuwa lang na mas inabot mo yung mas, hindi naman pero sometimes nakakaano din tayo. And happy anniversary sa ating JC Cisneros. Yes, happy anniversary din po sa inyo. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much sa lahat ng mga sumusuporta sa atin dyan sa YouTube. Dito naman sa kabila, thank you kay Jojo E. Chavez. Ito, correct ba yan? Salamat po, maraming salamat. James Santos. Yes, sir! Yan, sa mga I want to hear you talk more. Yeah, yeah. Kailangan din kasi natin ng lecture properly. Hindi, iba dapat yung lecture talaga. Dapat may graphics, may gano'n, explainers talaga. Pero lecture type, hindi lang explainer na pakita. Lecture type. Kung akong Jordan Peterson analyzing and personal types, I want to do something different. Something within my area, right? And ako naman, when I produce things, I write about things, it forces me to also research about them, so I'm as much a student of this issue as you, right? So as much as I want it to be like a master class, I'm not pretending to be experts in everything, but believe me, I'm very interested in many things, and I research about many things at the same time simultaneously, like literally all over the place, right? Kaya nakita, ang bilis ko magsalita, kasi ang tao ko gustong, pahiwatig, no? Salamat kay Vida Dulay, kay Oden Montejero. Thanks, Prof. Nag-start ka na ganitong platform na, but ayan. Yun nga hindi ko masabi na, medyo masa. Hindi pa Feeling ko kulang pa. Pero, marami naman tayo mga kabayan na galing abroad. May mga kabayan tayo na quote-unquote simple mamayan na yung pala, nanonood sila sa atin, o yung mga sila kuya, gano'n. Yeah! I mean, yun lang, kailangan ko lang mag-improve. Hindi lang yung konya natin Tagalog, pero kailangan din natin improve yung conversation natin in the sense na sana more relatable, more interesting. Hindi the digong way of interesting, but you know what I'm saying? Something that keeps people going, keeps people interested. Sabi ni Elliot, Delawan Unity. Kay Ma'am Jocelyn, again, thank you so much also dito. Kay Mr. Suave, pangit daw ng audio. Hindi pangit yung nyo. Pangit yung mo, hindi mo. Yung mami ko bully, ganun. Maganda, bakit narinig ko? Ganun. Maraming salamat din kay Ma'am Victoria Baltazar. Thank you so much for all support. Also kay Mirmidons Gaming. Isa pa yan, Ancient Giants are back! Pilipinas! Salamat kay Papa Ocho. Maribel Javier. Salamat, salamat. Joining us from Calgary, Canada. Kay Mojo Jojo. Yan, galit din si Mojo Jojo. Saha and Dimwit. Ayaw mo host ng, ano? Ano yun? Ay, number, si Maclean Christopher. Okay. Ayan, ito si Boy Kigol. Gigil na gila, dami sinasabi. Dami mong emoji, pare. Relax ka lang. Nakikita ko pa rin, kahit isa lang emoji mo, makikita ko. You don't need to put 15 emoji na, ano. Alright! Maraming salamat mga kametas! Stay tuned in an hour or so. Hopefully, gagawin tuloy natin discussion. Let's go back to serious stuff. Alright? Medyo, ano, academic to academic talk kulitan. Alright? On that note, thank you very much and God bless.